And we've got nothing to be guilty of. Certain things will climb any mountains, near or far. You are, but we'll never let it end. We are devoted to Warren. And there's nothing to be sorry for. Certain things, you're one in a million, we can all see. Good morning from Yummy B TV. Wishing you all well, sending plenty of love your way as usual. First thing this morning, I woke up and I remembered that I start part one of my Free the Great Warren SLANEY campaign. Why? You're going to find out now why I believe it. Otherwise, I would not be bringing it to the table. So all you doubters from way back when on Yummy B TV, yeah, but you didn't do this, but you ain't even said that bit. Okay. We had to wait a certain amount of time till I was mentally right to do it. And it's the right thing to do and to highlight certain things, all right? So we'll go from the very top to the very bottom. He's not alone in there. There are many people still trying to fight what seems like a losing battle, but we haven't forgotten and we still ride on for Warren SLANEY to the bitter, bitter end. Far as I remember, we're in 2023. Got sentenced in 1991. That's 33 years, right? All due respect to the victims in this case. But first things first, let's get the identifications, or the so-called ID identification stuff that presumably they thought at the time, or did it the way that they did it, means that Warren SLANEY was part of a group of men that committed a crime known as the Hot Dog Wars, right? The first witness says, 3 men, all built over 6'4", well built, and built, sadly, like the victim, Mr. Thompson, right? The second witness, remarkably, says one had a tan. A tan. Hold on. Was there someone else there with a tan? Interested in that. But he had a hat on, and he was over 6 foot, and he had a ponytail. But hold on a minute. I had a ponytail back in the day, and I was tanned, but the only thing is, I wasn't 6 foot on. What this all means is, especially when you're going through trials and people are coming to pick people out and giving statements firsthand of what they saw, what they saw. But it's interesting that Warren SLANEY is about my height, 5'7", 5'8", very good looking, pretty boy at them days, right? And they say 9 to 10 stone, which would have been around about his fighting weight at that time, right? So we know he can go up and down weight. Now, it was alleged a couple of armed robberies or something in the build-up to this case as well. I'm not saying today, I can't remember, but I thought he got off those cases or they got dropped at court. There was some ongoing cases before this massive case, right? So his name was ringing all round Leicester at that time. And it's fair to say, and we all know that, 80% of Leicester say it, that they didn't want Warren SLANEY around, right? Now, the other interesting thing is, right, apart from the identification stuff that was used in the trial, right, was that Warren SLANEY was meant to have been at a party at 4:30 or something like that in the morning, having a boogie to the old kind of rare groove stuff, soul music that he liked. And there were 9 people who said that he was there. That's quite a large number if you think about it. Gordon Bennett, how would it have been if CCTV would have been around about that time? It could have been that one small moment that changed the whole case and maybe not even had to do 33 years. Now, we move on to the vital stuff and the real telling factors of this case. Now, there was a witness, a young lady who went to court who directly said that Warren SLANEY was involved in the robbery, so-called, and murders as well. At a later date, changed that and said that she falsified that statement. I'm believing, and I'm open to debate on this because someone's coming on my show soon, like Kirsty Moore did for Jason Moore, to give that more background to this story. Well, so that could have been the thing that led to new evidence for the CRCC to get an appeal. Or the other one was that the man that got rid of the Beretta says that got rid of the Beretta, I mean the gun, the murder weapon, went back to the police and said, no, Warren wasn't nothing to do with it. But it wasn't used in court. So probably that could have been another bit for the CCRC, for the appeal kind of stuff. So those are two change of circumstances, whatever way you look at it, for a massive trial that cost somebody spending most, and probably, you know, we're not going to say it, but it has been nearly most of his life in there. Now, the situation with Warren being a fighter, just probably starting out on his career at that time, I'm of the belief that his hand injuries were the cause of maybe cutting his career short, right? So he had to have an operation where metal plates were put into his hand, right? So what this means to me is firing a gun with metal hands for a number of reasons. Forensic, you know, they say he wouldn't have been able to do that. Certain forensics say, scientists say that he couldn't have been able to fire a gun because of the way that you hold it or whatever. My version is of this bit, right? You found the gun. You went round his house about 4 times. No forensic on the gun. So not too long after the murders, I mean, when shots are fired and that kind of stuff, you searched high and low. Not one bit of forensic on Warren Slaney on that case. So if I tied it in with the lady saying she's been falsified for whatever reasons, you know what I mean, it wouldn't be the first and it wouldn't be the last. And you put that on top of somebody going boss side on him at the trial, we can't talk too much about that, would have been probably the main 2 things the jury would have looked at and found him guilty on. Maybe there's a bit more, which is why I'm calling this part 1, but I'm just going over a few things that I know to be definite. All right? It's not right. Now, the CCRC, they spend a lot of money, public's money, to do miscarriages of justice. We know they can take a century. We know that the do-gooders in the background, well, we can't waste too much money on. It's a lot of money coming out of our kitty for miscarriages of justice when we could be doing other things with that money. Now, we know that his first appeal to CRC got turned down. And then there was a kind of a fresh one, right? I'm of the belief, because I know the man personally, Warren Slaney, he can be very difficult to deal with because of the way that he feels about things, and people, solicitors, legal people in jail, prison law, where you can phone them. I'm not naming a couple, and they come and see him, and you know he's not endearing to certain people, especially when you're trying to let and if you're not liked by people straight away, they don't bend over backwards for you. They don't, and he is like that. We can't deny that, and he's like that because of one reason, right? So they haven't really bent over backwards. Now, there's a case with the Proven case, right? Prime example, got a hung jury, then got convicted, and then got the conviction squashed. He spent three lots of money on that. Michael Stone, right, was weary when he got sentenced, when he was on trial, waiting to go on trial for the sad case of Josie Russell. And, you know, I hated him for that case, and in later life I had a change of heart. He stayed in a single cell. We tried to move away because he was so paranoid of the people setting him up, but it still didn't save him, did it? Because they got someone saying he talked through the pipe. We know they also did that to GN, and that was unbelievable what they did to GN as well, was what they did to Michael Stone, because GN would never be talking through the walls and through the pipes to anyone about any crimes, for the simple reason, in their own heads, they're thinking, oh, Bennett, I've got enough on my plate without going to talk to this one and talk to that one, right? So the CCRC take time. They don't really care, and the powers that be with the authorities in there with Warren Slaney makes it very, very difficult for him, and he is still rotting away in the Cattays. At the moment I hear he's down the Seg in Wakefield. How long's that going to go on for? You're going to torture a man for year after year after year after year. It's not right. You've let out other so-called triple murderers and other murderers and let them out after 20, 22, 20. He was sentencing long before them on that tariff, if you get what I mean. Now, we talk about gangland a little bit as well. You know, Warren's not a sexual offender. There was no women involved. It wasn't that kind of stuff. Not saying it paused, you know, the victims had lost their life in that. But people in that case highlight some of the people involved in the hot dog walks as being big criminals themselves as well. So the length of time, play devil's advocate here. So we know he could never have fired the gun. And we knew that he was a fighter. Warren, he would fight anyone. He never was really known for using weapons on people. He wasn't no angel in his childhood. We accept that, right? But a weapon man, not really his style, if you get what I mean. In prison, your rules, all that goes out the window, I suppose. But we know those things about him in the build-up to that. So the railroading from me comes from people close and people blocking this and blocking that. He's not interested, if he comes out, in bothering no one. He doesn't care. He just wants to go. He's got a daughter that he's found in recent times, right? I hope to have a chat with her one day. He's got a son that's never really got to know him as well. You know, he deserves this kind of stuff in later life that you let out many others. You lot are letting out Pitchfork and all that. 33 years. Devil's advocate. I wasn't there, of course. I can only go by what's written and what I've read with my own eyes on his paperwork and everything. But if it was devil's advocate in my way, and he was there, but he didn't fire the gun, and other people, there's one that got, but you let him out and did it. What's the difference? What be the difference, mate? Because he can't go up there and say sorry for something he hasn't done by way of firing the trigger or not being there absolutely at all. It's appalling because you got two, I don't know whether it's cousins or Carrick, there's been so many things in the police force lately where they've done horrendous crimes to women and all that kind of stuff. We've gone over that in Yummy B TV. One of them's had 3 appeals, had 3 goes at appeals already. How do you work that out? And you can't come to a simple thing like this to get him before, because in these days, what you've got there on paper for that trial, you wouldn't have convicted him on. Uncle Yummy states it clearly today. In a minute, before I go out, I might have to do, I'm going to do another video on something else, right? Very, very interesting. Sending loads of love to you all.